Let me ask you about the judge blocking this Colorado terrorist family and the deportation that was to take place and the travel ban that the president put in place yesterday.
Well, this is just another rogue decision by a rogue judge who is trying to be, I don't know, the president of the United States, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Homeland Security. Surely these important matters of both Homeland Security and national security do not belong to lower district local judges in these districts across the country.
You would think that as Donald Trump's civil war with Elon Musk rages on, that things couldn't possibly get worse for the worst people in America. But luckily for us, and unfortunately for them, that's just not true. Because Donald Trump was just hit with a new legal bombshell against his illegal deportation plan that has Carolyn Levitt melting down on Fox now. After a long, terrible day of news, she was going to be melting down on Fox anyway. But this legal bombshell made it all the more embarrassing. We're going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me now. Before we can get into Levitt's meltdown over this legal bombshell, I want to see where Hannity started his show before that interview, defending Donald Trump's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
And it got personal. Elon Musk claiming, quote, Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Well, it's been well known that Donald Trump said that Elon was angry over Trump's decision to end the electric vehicle mandate. I can certainly understand why Elon, wants that in the one big beautiful bill. Pretty obvious, pretty apparent, understandable difference. And on the Epstein issue, wasn't it Donald Trump? He booted Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago nearly 20 years ago because he was one of the first people to realize just how horrible Epstein really was. And by all accounts, he was kicked out because of his treatment of young women. Now, Democrats and the media, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm just wondering, putting two and two together. I truly wonder if our old friend Bill Clinton, how you doing? Good to talk to you. We know he had a relationship with Epstein. That's been reported on. Is he in is Bill Clinton, is he in those files also? I can't say for sure. I haven't seen them. But if I was a betting man, I know where I'd put my money. Now, if by some, chance that Bill Clinton is in there, I wonder if he kicked Epstein out of his life as publicly as Donald Trump did. I guess if Donald Trump felt that Epstein had something on him, he probably wouldn't have kicked him out of his club. Inquiring minds, I think they'll want to know that. So
now, over the next couple of days, weeks, months, maybe even years, we will hear plenty of defenses from and by MAGA of Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And I want to point out one thing. This idea that Trump completely disavowed him just isn't true. They had been friends for a long time. And if Donald Trump did so publicly disavow Jeffrey Epstein, and it was so clear and conclusive that he did in fact break with him, and that could be well documented, why not release that evidence? Right? Why not show us the receipts if Donald Trump didn't hang out with him anymore after a certain point? Shouldn't that be very clear and public in the Epstein files? Wouldn't you want all that information out there? Wouldn't you want to say on this date, I discovered what was happening and henceforth never engaged again, but that's not what happened very clearly. And again, it's why Donald Trump wants to hide the Epstein files. And it's why Elon Musk is no hero for wanting them. Public Elon Musk knew that Donald Trump had this relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He's only bringing it up now that he is engaged in this civil war with him. They are only bringing out the worst elements of each other. This is not anything that in any way should be looked upon positively just because Elon is going after Trump. He's doing it for his own personal reasons, his own personal anger, no matter how much Carolyn Levitt tries to downplay it, as she did right here before we get into her meltdown over that legal bombshell.
That's right, Sean. And tonight, the president's focus and the focus of the entire White House remains on passing the one big beautiful bill. And as your audience just saw on Friday, just days ago, the president graciously hosted Elon Musk in the Oval Office, and Elon thanked the president for his incredible leadership to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in our government, which this one big beautiful bill does. So the only difference between Friday and today is Elon went back to his companies, and as a businessman, he has a right to speak for his companies. But as President Trump has a responsibility to fight for this country. And the one big beautiful bill is the most historic piece of legislation that has moved through Capitol Hill in modern day history.
This is another argument that we're going to hear from MAGA in the coming weeks and days and months as this all plays out, that these guys are they're just kind of duking it out in public because they care so deeply about these issues, because what they're really focused on is you. So they're happy to spark. At least we're not hiding it. What do you mean hiding it? You have been hiding it. The only reason we see this publicly is because these are two incensed and deranged individuals with giant social media followings and giant personal problems that lead them to just beg and plead for attention all the time, melting down publicly, because all they really desire is an audience. They are deeply flawed individuals. This isn't about making a better budget. That's absolutely a ridiculous idea to say. Now again, like I said, this wasn't the only catastrophe from Trump today. He's also facing legal bombshells just filed against him over his illegal deportations that Carolyn Levitt melted down over for 2 minutes screaming about rogue judges, as we see right here.
Let me ask you about the judge blocking this Colorado terrorist family and the deportation that was to take place and the travel ban that the president put in place yesterday.
Well, this is just another rogue decision by a rogue judge who is trying to be, the president of the United States, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Homeland Security. Surely these important matters of both Homeland Security and national security do not belong to lower district local judges in these districts across the country. They are trying to block the deportation of a terrorist family who has been illegally present in the interior of our country. We also have a judge, as you know, Sean, who tried to block the deportation of illegal immigrant rapists and murderers to the country of South Sudan. And so now those illegal immigrants, those rapists, those murderers, those brutal criminals are sitting in Djibouti, and ICE agents have been forced to stay on the ground in a very dangerous part of the world to oversee the care of these illegal criminals and migrants because a lower district court judge said that they have to. Lower district court judges do not get to dictate the foreign policy and the national security interests of the United States of America. We can't run a country if the executive is not allowed to freely exercise its powers. And that's what we're seeing take place. President Trump is not shy of lawfare, though. It is something that he has faced throughout the entirety of his political career. So the Trump administration is fully prepared to fight these battles in court. We will win on the merits of the law, and we know we are winning in the court of public opinion. The American people overwhelmingly support the deportation of illegal criminals, and especially known terrorists like the one who put the terrible terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado on full display on Monday.
What is she even talking about? Carolyn Levitt is just angry and losing it and out of control. I tweeted today. I hope she just had a terrible day with all this news. We saw her, as previously covered in an earlier video, unable to respond to the question about Jeffrey Epstein, and it's clear that the White House doesn't want to engage in that. And of course they don't. They also don't want to engage in the other thing that they're trying to cover up, their illegal deportation plan. It's the reason why we see Donald Trump's ICE agents, his mass thugs, cover their faces out of embarrassment and this understanding that what they're doing is illegal, that they're breaking the law, and they don't want to be caught. And Chris Hayes did a great job breaking down that topic that's not getting nearly enough coverage in this clip right here.
The term secret police invokes a kind of haunting specter when you hear it. When we see representations of secret police in the movies or in history, we immediately identify it with a certain kind of regime, one that tramples people's liberty with no accountability. We associate it with authoritarian governments and dictatorships like the Soviet Union, where people, usually armed, can wield the authority of the state but are themselves totally unaccountable in the same way. Whatever issues there are with American policing, and there are many, many of which we've covered here, at least our police officers have names on their uniforms and badge numbers. Now, in the Trump-Stephen Miller era of immigration and renditioning, one cannot help but notice in clip after clip, in interaction after interaction, that the people enacting these raids have all the qualities you associate with the concept of secret police. They are usually masked, hiding their faces, and either wearing plain clothes or irregular uniforms. They won't give their names or say what agency they're with. Watching it, it feels wrong and weird and alien and menacing, like an irregular paramilitary operation or people gathering to rob a bank, as one observer said. It does not feel like law enforcement officials subject to the authority of a democratic government. It's so striking in scene after scene. You see regular people asking masked agents, "Who are you? What part of the government are you from? What are you doing?" We saw something like that in one of the first videos made public, the arrest of Columbia student and lawful resident Mahmoud Khalil, where plainclothes officers apprehended him in the lobby of his building and pointedly refused to identify themselves or who they were with.
Let me ask, can we get a name, please? Can we get your name? I understand the lawyer is asking for your name.
Over there. No, we don't give our name.
The lawyer's asking for your name. He's saying they don't give their names.
They don't give our name, that man said, after handcuffing and detaining a legal resident of this country. Not long after that, we got this infamous video of the arrest of Tufts graduate student Ramesa Ozturk. She was snatched off the street by masked agents and led away in handcuffs. Also in Massachusetts, there was this chilling scene from last month where masked agents apparently refused to provide a warrant before breaking a car window and forcibly removing a man that they say was in the country illegally.
Do you have a warrant for arresting this man?
Kevin, you're here illegally. I already know that. That's all I need to establish.
I need to see a warrant. You have masked men taking people, abducting people without a warrant, without IDs.
Just last weekend, this was seen in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, where again, masked agents detained an apparently undocumented gardener at his place of work, all while his employers asked questions. Why are you doing this? In San Diego, same weekend, residents managed to hold back what appeared to be heavily armed, militarized agents who were reportedly just executing an immigration raid on a local business and several local businesses. And we've also got these stories of all kinds of really unsettling lies, manipulation, subterfuge. So eyewitnesses in Tucson, Arizona, saying that agents posed as city utility workers as part of an arrest attempt. There's been reports of agents gaining access to homes under the guise of performing wellness checks on children. All this feels like something distinct from the normal forms of policing and law enforcement you're used to. As the writer M. Gesson, who was born in the Soviet Union, put in a recent column for the New York Times, the United States has become a secret police state. Trust me, I've seen it before. Adding, the citizens of such a state live with a feeling of being constantly watched. They live with a sense of random danger. Anyone, a passerby, the man behind you in line at the deli, the woman who lives down the hall, your building super, your own student, your child's teacher, can be a plainclothes agent or a self-appointed enforcer. This administration is treating people as if they have no rights, as if they can be rounded up at a whim, as if they don't get to have any kind of due process or have to show cause or get warrants. That is the legal theory of Stephen Miller, that immigrants in this country do not have rights, even though very clearly that's not true. This can't be stressed enough. The Constitution is clear on this in its plain text in the 14th Amendment, for instance. The precedent is clear on this. Even Supreme Court justices as conservative as the late Antonin Scalia have been clear on this. Immigrants have constitutional rights. They have due process rights. But the Trump administration and Stephen Miller believe the state can do whatever it wants to these people.
We have to continue to call out this disgusting illegal deportation plan and all the criminality and cover up that is going into it. We're certainly going to be doing so on this show as much as I possibly can as we recover from this wisdom tooth surgery. I know my speech is still a little slurred, but I promise I'm going to keep bringing y'all the news. And if you want to support that and stay updated as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.